Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. So, Petr Yan versus Merab is about to go down in a UFC Fight Night main event, 5 rounds. Let me tell you guys why this is a must-win fight for Petr Yan. First and foremost, I'm extremely excited for this fight. I think a lot of people think Petr Yan is just going to absolutely run through Merab. I don't think this is going to be the case at all. I just watched Merab's last couple of fights. I just rewatched them. I just rewatched Petr Yan's last couple of fights. Merab is underrated on the feet. Merab actually has really good striking, and he just is good offensively on the feet. Where I see the advantage on the feet, though, for Petr Yan is Merab's boxing defense. Merab is so offensive on the feet. He actually surprises you. You look at a guy like Aljamain Sterling, one of his main training partners. Aljo isn't necessarily defensive on the feet, but he's always trying to get the fight down to the ground. With Merab, he's actually more comfortable with boxing on the feet. He loves that jab straight. But the thing is about Merab, he has some weaknesses on the feet. He's not good at defending that jab at all. He's not good at defending that kick. And the thing is about Merab, especially on the feet, is he loves kicking, which leaves his chin wide open. There's so many times in a Merab fight, such as the Marlon Moraes fight, when you look at that first 2 minutes of the fight, Merab's going to throw out a couple body kicks, he's going to throw out a couple leg kicks, and leave his chin wide open, which Marlon Moraes took advantage of and actually dropped Merab. Now, that fight was incredible, one of the best first rounds of a fight I've ever seen. Merab ended up winning that fight, just absolutely ragdolled Marlon Moraes in the grappling realm, and that's what I somewhat see going on in the first 2-3 rounds of this fight. I think Yan is going to catch Merab early in this fight, in the first round, second round, third round. But I think Merab is going to be able to really grapple with Petr Yan, get this fight to the ground, and I think he'll be able to actually control him on the ground a little bit, just like Aljo was able to do versus Petr Yan in that second fight. I'm also very intrigued to see what's going to happen in the clinch. I think Merab obviously has the advantage in the clinch, but something that Merab struggles with after the clinch is once the fighters disengage from the clinch, Merab kind of leaves himself open, whereas Petr Yan loves utilizing the clinch when he separates. He loves landing those big elbows, those big overhand rights over the top once they separate from the clinch. I envision that happening. I think Petr Yan at some point is going to kind of somewhat wobble Merab when they disengage from the clinch. But Petr Yan, man, I think he has somewhat overrated grappling skills. I think we see that the fact that he's from Russia, oh man, that means he must be able to grapple really well. I mean, you look at that Sean O'Malley fight, I think Petr Yan was a better grappler than Sean O'Malley in there. But let's not forget, Sean O'Malley was able to take down Petr Yan at some point at the end of a round. He was able to kind of survive in the grappling realm. So to me, if Petr Yan is not able to dominate a guy like Sean O'Malley in the grappling realm, who probably has underrated grappling himself in Sean O'Malley because he really hasn't displayed his grappling thus far in his career to a significant amount. But still, nonetheless, Merab does have the advantage on the ground. I see people say, oh, all Merab could do is just hold guys in the clinch. He's not good at holding guys down in his fights. This isn't true of any fight of Merab's career except Jose Aldo. And Jose Aldo has absolutely legendary takedown defense, and he's so good at getting back to his feet once he's taken down. So I don't really think that applies with Merab in the majority of his fights. Now, this is going to be a 5-round main event, which is an advantage for Petr Yan. We know how Petr Yan is somewhat of a computer, in the sense that he's going to kind of download that data and get progressively more aggressive on the feet and just in general when the fight takes place. But the thing is about Merab, even though he has significantly less 5-round experience than a guy like Petr Yan, Merab has an insane, legendary gas tank. All I hear about Merab in terms of his training camp is how much of a dog this guy is in terms of just the stamina and the killer mentality. He's a guy who's going to get cut up in training camp. He's going to glue that cut right shut, and he's going to train for another 3-4 hours. Merab is an animal like that. Again, I think this fight is much more intriguing and is going to be significantly closer than people think. But let me tell you guys why. Again, this is a must-win for Petr Yan's career. If Petr Yan loses this fight, which I do think can happen, then Petr Yan is 1-4 technically in his last 5 fights if he ends up losing this fight. Obviously, he just lost to Sean O'Malley. I'm in the camp that Sean O'Malley slightly beat him based on damage in the first and third round. I know that was a very close fight. It was a toss-up fight. He took the L against Aljo before that, which, again, extremely close fight. I am in the camp that it really came down to the first round, and I do think Aljamain Sterling won that first round. He landed that really big kick to the body that I think swayed the decision for Aljamain Sterling. Then he went on to beat Corey Sandhagen before that. Really great fight, 5-round main event. And then he got disqualified against Aljamain Sterling. So being 1-4 in your last 5 fights, if Petr Yan loses this, it just leaves him in an extremely awkward situation. Is he going to end up getting cut? Obviously not. Petr Yan is not going to get cut no matter what happens in this fight. I just think it leaves him at a place where you go, he can't really fight for a championship again. I mean, maybe if you have a guy who he's beaten in the past becomes champion, maybe. I think if he goes on a 3-fight win streak, somehow Sean O'Malley ends up winning the title, then I could see them doing that rematch. If Corey Sandhagen somehow gets the belt, I could see that rematch as well. If you have a guy like Chito Vera get the belt. But if you have a guy like Aljamain Sterling still have the belt, if you have a guy like Merab win the belt, or even Henry Cejudo, you can't really give Petr Yan that title fight. You just can't, because he's proven that he really gets stuck on the ground consistently in these fights. So this is going to be a huge test for Petr Yan's grappling, and I can't wait for this one to go down.